This is the Oz report for October 21st, 2023. And let's move over to the big dashboard at first, because there are some general things that we see here. One is raw materials are up almost across the board. So except for rogue drone components, which are a very small part of the markets, we're talking raw moon materials, we're talking minerals, we're talking salvage. All of this is up in price. So that's typically a good sign. We're seeing a lot of demand, a lot of production. A lot of that is driven by Crimson Harvest. More on that in a second. Right here, we also see that Plex price has gone down a little bit, but we're going to jump in the graph right now. Overall, skill extractors are up again, so those are the big things. If we look down into ships and modules, almost across the board, it has prices have dropped again. So this tends to my theory would be that we did have a lot of Crimson Harvest demand for ships, and also lots of PvP happening because of 90% loot chance of the Crimson Harvest event. So all of that together had a huge impact on the demand for ships a few weeks ago. Now a lot of these categories are dropping back down, and modules are dropping back down with them. As you can see, especially tier 2 modules are coming back down, and a lot of the faction modules are also coming back down in price. Some of them up to 3 to 5%, which doesn't seem large, but it is large in the context of Eve's typical market movements. Now, if we jump into the game client right here, let's start with Plex real quick. So Plex, as of today, around 5 million buy in JITA, sell in JITA. That is a very much similar to last week, right? This is not driven anymore by the sale in the NES store, because those sales already ended. Now the only thing that you really have in there with significant potential would be maybe the starter packs, but they're just not a great deal overall. If you look at the starter packs that are in the store, 250,000 skill points, that is not a lot at all. 30-day Omega code is worth about, last week it was 350, even normally with any sort of discount it should be under 500. 250k skill points is if I look at the list here, that's maximum 500 million ISK. So maximum 100 Plex. So these starter packs aren't really that great of a deal overall. So right now, Plex is still, hanging on at 5 million, but the trend overall should be downwards on Plex. Skill extractors, on the other hand, they are still going strong. We've seen these rise. Presumably larger demand from skill farms out there that were started during the great extractor sale in June of this year. Now the large stockpiles are decreasing, and some of these are actually selling at very, very good prices. So we, certainly, I think this, over 500 is very unrealistic. And so right now we're coming towards an area where at 470, 480 million, I think a lot of people are going to start selling. So I don't think these are going to be rising all that much in the upcoming weeks, but expect a lot of people to throw their extractors out on the market now. Large skill injectors, on the other hand, are holding on fine at 880 million. This is very similar to last week, and that is still strong. Yeah, I figured that these would be dropping quicker. They have been. If you look at large skill injector prices since June, they have dropped significantly. The big sale happened when prices were close to 950, and now we're talking about prices of around 880. So they have dropped significantly, but they're still doing fine. And all of that put together means that if we look at skill farming and the skill farming profit, it is very low compared to what it was. So 780 million per account if you sub for 1 year is much lower than it has been. And this is because skill extractor prices are rising. Plex is still holding on at a high level, and large skill injectors prices also not changing that much. So 780 is still profitable, but you have to remember that everyone that bought skill extractors in June bought these at 300, 350. So anyone who has a lower cost base, like most skill farmers with large skill farms do, is going to be making a lot more money than just this. But even if you fire a skill farm up now, this will get you 780 million per account. All right. Not something that I say is a great play style, but something that you should know if you're trading in EVE Online, because it's a significant market. Now, Master at Arms Cerebral Accelerators, these are the ones that you get from referrals, mainly from referrals, as they started last November from the expansion. So we now almost have a full year of these being flooded onto the market. And to be honest, I've been saying this for a month. These 90 million prices that we had up here, they're just unrealistic. The cost per SP is not that great. So the drop that we're seeing in price now is completely normal. Now, if you look at the volume, you can see something very interesting, because it's not that we're seeing increased volume, we're seeing decreased volume. And so it's not that more of these are hitting the market per se, it's more that we have less demand in the market. And so this is fairly normal for these to drop in price. I think the 93 million is a lot more realistic price than 100 million. But I guess there's going to be a lot fewer people selling them at this price, because if they missed out on the 97, 98 million pricing, and I think most people are going to hold on to them until they hit that price again. That will depend largely on what happens with large skill injectors, because large skill injectors are the substitute good for these cerebral accelerators. Now, wet my whistle real quick and jump into what's trending up in EVE Online. So we're going to jump into my Oz Report dashboard right here. Let me see here. We're going to jump into here and here. If we're looking at what's trending up, we're seeing a lot of advanced moon materials in here. And some of that, at least two of these, have to do with the fact that for the Crimson Harvest event, we had two groups of ships being very popular. One, the strategic cruisers, and two, the Marauders. We're seeing the prices for them increase 20% on average. So that has implications on the market, because now they're almost gone from the market. They're very profitable to produce. So what a producer is going to do, they're going to start acquiring raw materials and start producing more and more of these. So when we're looking at ceramic fibers, for example, we can see the price increasing and in the last few days increasing sharply. We see neurovisual input matrix is just going completely crazy. These are a very, very large part of the strategic cruiser production. So this is no surprise at all. The thing is that you have to remember, though, is that this is going to be temporary, and in the end, these prices are going to fall back down. They're not going to be falling down, in days or weeks, but in a month from now, I'm sure that these prices are going to be back to normal. So if you look at Loki prices, for example, you can already see that there was this huge spike initially, and now it's already come back down to more manageable level. Now it's not down to the 200, 220 level that it was before, but it's already back down to 250 million. So if you're into producing these for profit now, it's pretty much already too late. You would have had to anticipate this event, right? Now, that is what's trending up. If we're looking up what's trending down, Vargers are an example of those marauders that I was just talking about. So these are trading lower than last week, but they're still trading very high. If you're looking at the supply, it's kind of okay, but the sell price is 1.45 million in JITA, which is 10% higher of where it should be, and the other marauders are similar. So you see the same jump for the Kronos, the Golem, and the Paladin. They all have this Crimson Harvest jump in there, and for the T3Cs, it's even more. So trending down, we have the Vargar, but not really all that much. Sisters Core probe launchers. Also, these were used in the event a lot. So people went out exploring, people were scanning down sites, and so the Sisters probes are the go-to item for that, the go-to faction item at least. And so these were in very high demand. The prices spiked, and it always takes a little bit of time for these prices to come back down, because what happens is you need LP to get these faction items, and so the price spikes. The conversion rate for LP gets very high, and so when people then look at what they should turn their Sisters of Eve LP into, they see, oh, this is very, very profitable, at least at current market prices. Then they trade in for them, they resupply the markets, and prices come back down. But that just takes a few days and sometimes weeks for it to happen. And that means that's where good traders, good investors have time to profit from these trades, right? Other than that, I think we're fine. Let's talk about short supply. So items that are in short supply. We have, for example, the worm, which is interesting, right? There's almost no worms left, and that's from my point of view. I there's at least one good reason for this, and that's that this is a Garista faction ship, right? What comes out in November with the or partly already has come out with the expansion is new Garistas and new Angel ships, and so it's very, very possible that people are holding back their LP to trade in for those ships when they come out, which is going to be a lot more profitable rather than the worm or the Gila, however you want to pronounce that, the rattlesnake or other Garista ships that are all very, very popular, but might not be in anticipation of the ships that are coming. So that's probably what's happening here, drying up the worm market a little bit. Other things that are in short supply are power conduits and trigger units. Those are two salvage goods that are in very, very short supply. So if we look at our dashboard right here, we see that they're both way under one trade day, and so that means that way under what is typically traded in one day is available in the market. And so power conduits and trigger units, two of the very, very large, highly traded items that are running out of supply right now. The other one that's interesting here, yes, the Golem. So another Marauder here that is in very short supply, but specifically also Amber Mycocerosin. So wormhole gas. Null gas, right? So used a lot in faction ships. And we've seen the supply of this go down and down over time. Right now we're only at half a trade day left in here. Now, if we look at prices overall, we've seen a rise in this myco gas since May. All right, since May this is going up, and so there's also people. One, less supply in the market, but two, also a higher demand from new faction ships coming up for sure, as people preparing for the production that goes along with the expansion. Now, anything else? There's a few filaments here that are in short supply. Cataclysmic dark filaments and chaotic exotic seem to be the popular flavor of the month. Traded at high volume. Let's see what's being traded at high volume. Thulium Raw materials, okay. Stormbringers, Redeemers, those are all being traded at fairly high volume. The Bargus is being traded at very high volume lately, but nothing there that we need to talk about. So let's move to underpriced. Items that are underpriced, certainly we don't need to talk about the freighters here. So the Fenrir, the Obelisk, the Providence, the Chiron, they're all on here. But as I said in previous weeks, that's just the market prices catching up to new production prices. So that's fairly normal. What is interesting is just Zydrine, stabilizing at previous low resistance levels here. So if you ask me, what's the one mineral that you can, or one item that you can dump a lot of ISK into for a long-term investment, you probably save with Zydrine, right? It's just an item that is very cheap right now, that is always going to be used because it's a basic mineral. It's the typical fluctuation of, what is the bottleneck, what is needed, what is highly mined right now, that goes back and forth. But for a long-term investment, that would certainly work. Platinum is the equivalent on the moon material side, fairly low compared to the 52-week average right now, but a long-term investment, not a short-term thing. And a third item that is underpriced is Caldari Navy Admiral Insignia 1s. These are tags that are handed in in LP stores and for faction standing, and you can typically rely on these to be fairly cyclical and come back for various reasons. And so right now, Caldari Navy Admiral Insignia 1s are trading just very, very cheaply compared to 52-week average. Let me end today on one thing, and that is something I talked about on stream earlier. We have something called the Malagran Marshlight skins, right? And these skins are what's being dropped on Twitch drops. So these were, basically not available before, and they're now dropped in very, very large quantities. And right now, you can pick these up very, very cheaply. Yeah. So for example, the Balgorn one is one that recently dropped. The Macarial one is trading under 100 million. Now, full disclosure, one of the few things that I'm still doing is buying up seasonal temporary items that are basically no-brainers, because that's, that has nothing to do with my CSM NDA, right? And so unless I know of an event coming up, if I don't partake in some of these, then you should be suspicious. You should be suspicious because I'm not partaking in them. But these absolute no-brainer, right? Right now they're everywhere. Everyone is taking them, and most people are just dumping them on the market. And so these are so cheap right now. There's almost no way they're not going to rise in the future. So just go out and pick some of these up if you want to dabble in them, or if you want them for yourself, because they've never been cheaper, right? The best thing you can do is sell the Twitch drops as soon as you get them, wait a few days, and then buy a new one cheaper. And that's the best thing you can do, because you probably get a few 100 million ISK for free on the side. So yeah, easy investment, no brainer. Go look for Marshlight skins that just dropped from Twitch. All right, that's the Oz report for October 21st, 2023. And we're going to go return to the regular stream, and we'll see you next week.